Doing lives here. So, welcome back. This is Three Questions Podcast. My name is Cam. This is episode number 81. And I told myself when I started podcasting that I would also start doing TikTok lives. As part of this, I've taken about 6 to 8 weeks off from podcasting specifically, mostly because I've been sick, mostly because trying to gear up for 2025, thinking about what I want to do right, what I want to do with my business, with CK Collective. And largely, Three Questions Podcast has come out of a lot of my client sessions and people essentially saying, hey, what do I do here? This would be good podcast content. People were asking me for certain podcasts and submitting certain questions. And if you don't know anything about CK Collective, my website is just ckcollective.co. I do one-on-one coaching and mentoring for personal and professional tactics, essentially, taking a lot of my new business experience from my advertising days and transmuting that into my business because I love working with entrepreneurs. I love teaching people new things and I love aiding people and empowering their growth. One of the biggest things that I do is teach people how to rewire their brain. And somehow I've already slammed out 80 podcast episodes. So if you're joining on TikTok Live, thank you for coming in. These are quick, short, hard hitting episodes. Three Questions Podcast is essentially where I answer three questions that are either submitted from my clients or submitted from random people, also via DMs. And I answer those and I give myself 5 minutes each to answer questions. So TikTok Live will be a thing when I'm doing podcasts from now on. I've never done lives, don't really like it, but one of my clients was like, you need to go live more. It's how you get a bunch of people to follow you. And cool. Hey, that's awesome. So thank you to everyone that's joining. I'm not really paying attention or typing on my phone. I'm recording on Zoom and then I'll put up the podcast when it's done. But I want to get into the three questions today because we're going to talk about modern dating. And a lot of my clients, ironically, are going through breakups right now, which is tough. Breakups usually happen. It's kind of in the springtime. It's when a lot of this stuff happens. And me having been in a number of relationships, being in a healthy relationship now, super awesome. She makes my life really easy, but doesn't mean that I haven't experienced a lot of pain and heartbreak as well because we've all been there. So if you have questions, send me a DM. Happy to answer on a future podcast episode. But question number one that I have from a client that submitted this: how has the rise of dating apps changed the way people approach relationships compared to traditional in-person interactions? I love this question. And I answer this a lot in my coaching. Okay. So, dating apps, your job on a dating app. Sorry, I forgot to time my watch. But your job when it comes to dating is just a reflection of you. It's an opportunity for you to get to know yourself and for you to get to know other people. So many people put pressure on trying to meet the right person and having all of these red flags and these green flags. And that's all good. You should have that. But dating should be fun. It should be casual. And it's just a reflection of you. When you're dating, it's just your job to have cool conversations, get to know people. In my opinion, you shouldn't just trauma dump right from the get go. Here's what I've been through. I'm divorced. I got broken up with. My ex cheated on me. He was a narcissist. I've heard all of this stuff in my coaching. I don't hate it. And I don't think that that's wrong. And everyone has their story. But what I see so much with my clients, so much, and Joe Dispenza talks about this, all the greats on the podcasting stuff talk about this. People always, and I used to do this too, people will always tell themselves a story based upon their past. So they say, oh, here's all the bad things that have happened to me. And then they bring that into the present moment. What I teach my clients is I say, I want you to have a future recorded memory. And I teach them, I walk them through the process of feeling yourself in the future, feeling that loving relationship, feeling the things that you want, the house that you have, the 2 or 3 or 4 car garage that you have, what your couch feels like, how big your TV is, what your stove is, and then their partner, right? I say, what are the qualities? You're looking at them, you're feeling them, you're touching them. What do they have? What do they exhibit? What do they do for work? And if I can train my clients to feel that in the future, they already know what they're looking for. And then we sort of reverse engineer that. Personally, I think the modern day dating apps is just option paralysis. You can swipe and get 100 matches if you're a chick, or if you're a dude, you get 10 to 20 to 30 matches. And how are you going to have a conversation with 10 or 20 or 30 people on the dating apps? It is ridiculously complex to do that. So I think that dating apps, people also like to present a version of themselves that may or may not be reality. And I'm not saying to not put up good photos. I'm not saying to not be funny. But the more authentic that you are on a dating app, the faster that you're going to find your potential matches. I think people try to be things that they aren't on the dating apps, and I think that causes confusion. Women, if you have something to say, I would love for you guys to comment your experience on your dating app because we're doing TikTok lives now, but I can't really respond. I'll just kind of talk about it. But for the most part, I think that dating apps, you being on one or two or three dating apps, makes things really, really, really difficult for you to find that right person. I prefer meeting people in real life. Every partner that I've met them in real life, and they've always been a much better match for me than anyone that I've gone out with because I think that we're all looking for something too, right? The other thing about dating apps, a lot of people, a lot of my clients that I talk to, they'll say, hey, I'm looking for my better half. I'm looking for someone to complete me. And we feel like a part of ourselves is missing. In reality, this isn't the case. I hear it all the time. That's my better half. That's my person. Together, we're 100%. And that's just not true. Two people equal 200%, not 100%. And that needs to be taught in like middle school and high schools and beyond, right? You need to be at 100%. And the higher of a percentage that you are, meaning that you're a whole healed person, the better off you're going to be. Also, when you start leveling up, when you become okay being alone and you start leveling up, doing the things you want to do, going to concerts, going to restaurants, going to movies, having these experiences, the better off you're going to be when you meet that person. I guarantee you, when you go and do high vibration stuff that you want to do and you're comfortable by yourself and you're having a good time, the universe will put somebody on your path that you cannot miss. There'll be someone at that concert. There'll be someone at that restaurant. There'll be someone on that trip that you take. Stop looking for someone sitting in bed, swiping and feeling sorry for yourself, hoping to find somebody to make you feel better because that's intrinsically just not true. It's not the case. All right. But hitting up 5 minutes for question number one. So I'll hop into question number two. If you have a question about this, send me a DM. Happy to chat, happy to help. Now, let's talk about question number two. What role does social media play in shaping the expectations and pressures of modern dating? I think people go into dating with so many expectations. And I tell all my clients this that expectations are just premeditated resentments. I'm going to say that again for you guys. But expectations are just premeditated resentments, meaning that if I have an expectation on someone that I'm dating or someone that I'm going out with and they don't meet that expectation, who gets upset? It's me, right? Expectations have to be expertly communicated to another person. And a lot of people these days, they don't have dating problems. They don't really have any problems. The problem is communication because we're trying to communicate through screens. And that's just not as good as face to face. Always, always, always prefer in-person dates. Always prefer in-person conversations if you can. If you find yourself hiding behind your phone, trying to understand that you're probably an introvert and then that's something that you're going to have to actively work against. In person is always the way. I know women love to text. I'm not a big texter. I hate texting. I think texting is for setting up that next in-person thing. And if someone wants to do a call, I can do a call. But I prefer over the phone or prefer on Zoom so I can at least see somebody's body language. If you start reading books about body language and you start reading books about subconscious signs and how people can't really lie, right? When people look down and to the left, they're usually lying. When they look up and to the right, they're usually thinking and trying to access a certain part of their brain. If you ever talk to someone and you've seen their feet kind of be pointed away from you, that person's trying to get out of that conversation. Or if someone has their arms like this, that means that person's being defensive. If someone's sitting on a couch with their arms open and their legs open, it means they're very open, they're receptive, they're probably confident in that aspect. The more that you can learn about people and body language and different mechanics, the better of a person you're going to be, especially when it comes to dating. But I think that social media is just a highlight reel that puts pressure not only on men and women, everybody else included as well. But I think that social media 110% puts so much pressure on people to say, this is who I am. This is the best version of myself. These are my top moments. And then we base kind of each other's value off of how many likes and how many comments that we have. Like, what's the point? I'm not saying that Instagram is not the way and that you get off. I don't have a personal Instagram. I just have my business Instagram. But for me, every person that I've met that I've actually dated for a long time, it's always been in person with me doing the right thing, me going on a trip, bumping into someone, and I'm like, that you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. I need to know your name. I got to take you out. And I'm very honest, right? I try to be as authentic as I can, not only in my coaching business, but also in my content. So hopefully that plays a role. And I think that authenticity is the number one emotion. So the more authentic that you are, I just think it's going to work out better for you over the long term. Don't try and hide yourself. Don't try and put up a version of yourself that doesn't really exist because it's hard to live up to those expectations of what other people see. Obviously, catfishes, people that post really kind of appealing pictures on the internet, they're living up to a certain expectation, but they're not that person majority of the time. I guarantee it. So don't put people on pedestals, men and women included. Do not put people on pedestals. Trust me, everyone still squats when they take a shit. So it's just one of those things. You have to understand that people are people at the end of the day, and they are not their highlights. That is super, super important when it comes to modern dating. But we'll call that a wrap on question number 2, and I'll jump to question number 3. Again, if you're joining on TikTok Live, send me a DM. But this is Three Questions Podcast. My name's Cam, and I run a coaching and mentoring business for people that want to work on personal and professional tactics. Whether you're an entrepreneur or you just want to rewire your brain, I'm your guy. I know there's a million dudes out there that you can pick from, but thanks for joining in. Anyways, question number 3. Do you think casual dating is more prevalent today? And if so, how has that affected people's view on long-term commitment? That's a great question. Casual dating, there's nothing wrong with casual dating, but I think that largely people do not date with intent, meaning that I don't think a lot of people who are dating right now, myself in the past included, didn't really know what they wanted. And they were just trying to date to feel something different. And whether you're coming out of a relationship or breakup, divorce in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, we all want to feel good. That's our innate nature. And it's called the pleasure principle. People will do anything they can to feel good, and they will do everything they can to avoid pain. That is the driving force behind every single decision that human beings do. So when you're feeling bad and you want to feel something good and you're like, I haven't been on a date in a while, I want to meet somebody, he's cute, she's cute, whatever, you're going to put yourself into positions where maybe your cup isn't quite full, but you're trying to meet somebody else because you're trying to balance those levels for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But I personally believe taking time after a breakup or a divorce, whatever it is, I think you should take 30 to 60 days of just like disappearing from social media. You can just deactivate your account, try not to date, spend time by yourself, feel your feelings, feel your emotions, get into meditation, read books about relationships. It's so funny, right? How is your bank account ever going to grow if you don't work and you don't learn about money? How are your relationships going to get better if you never read a book or never put in the work to watch videos and to understand attachment styles and how people work, how the female brain works, how the male brain works, and then what separates us and what also brings us apart? I tell all my clients, I'm like, you guys got to read. And I give them so many book recommendations and they grow because of it, right? Not only from our coaching, but I give them the right books in the right order so that they start leveling up naturally. Your brain can hold so much information. Why would you not stick as much as you can in there? That's the whole point. However, with casual dating, whether you've dated one, two, three, four, or more people at a time, whether or not sex is included or not, you have to understand that casual dating was just giving you like this option paralysis type thing. There's so many people out there for you to pick from that you're always looking at someone who's a little bit better. Maybe someone you're a little bit more attracted to, someone who is just looks more appealing. And that can be toxic in and of itself because you just end up chasing the rabbit. You're just chasing the next high. You're chasing the next high. And this is called dopamine addiction. When you're constantly seeking those highs only to avoid those lows, you become very reactive to your reptilian brain. And your reptilian brain sits on your amygdala, which is your fear and response emotional control center. And it essentially just wants impulses, right? It wants all the violence. It wants all the sugar. It wants all the Saturday night, 2 a.m. kind of things. But you have to understand that dating with intention is the best way to sort of avoid this. Casual dating, not necessarily a bad thing, but date with the intent that you are looking for the most perfect partner for you. And that doesn't always mean that you're looking at the next person. You should try and learn as much as you can. And then if you start seeing a few red flags, hey, you can feel free to get out of there. That's totally fine. If it's not for you, it's not for you at the end of the day. But casual dating, I think people get caught there for a very long time because they don't actually know what they want. So the best way to avoid casual dating or just becoming an option for someone else is to never allow yourself to become an option, right? Don't be option B for someone, be option A and have that, communicate that, have that be one of your boundaries, have that be a protocol, have that be a non-negotiable that you can communicate. Hey, I'm looking for long-term commitment here. If you're looking for hookups, say that and then casually date, but own it. Whatever you want, just own it and don't be afraid to do that, right? Clear your throat chakra because you speaking up for yourself about what you want is probably one of the most important things on the planet that a human being can learn. So, long-term commitment, even when people are coming out of divorces and breakups, we still have an abundance of options, right? Chicks can go on a dating app at any point and get 10 to 20 dates tonight if they really wanted to. When you have that many options, it makes it really hard to narrow it down to just one because we're only looking at the book covers, right? I'm sure your parents told you this, but never judge a book by its cover. Yet we do it all the time on dating apps. So it's just one of the things that like find someone that you really like, go out with them and really try and get to know them. If it's not working out for you, right, move on to the next person, but date someone and continue to swipe for 30 or 40 minutes a day trying to find and have conversations to see what the next best option is. You're just going to find yourself doing that for a very long time. So, with that said, that's all I got for Three Questions Podcast. This has been episode number 81. Thank you for joining on TikTok live. If you hopped in, happy to help answer any questions. You can send me a DM, do whatever you need to. But submit questions to this. And if you want to check out my website, it is ckcollective.co. And then obviously ckcollective.co here on TikTok as well. Appreciate your guys' time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.